Let's bring in political analyst Lori Williams from Mount Royal University in Calgary. Lori, did we take Trump's comment that he believes a deal with Canada is achievable at face value?
Well, it's certainly a promising statement, and it probably rests on these negotiations that have been going on through a variety of channels since that first meeting between Mark Carney and Donald Trump in the White House. Again, it's a hopeful sign, but difficult to know what that actually means. I think the most striking thing that Donald Trump said was that he said that his view, he supports tariffs. Mark Carney has a more complex, I think was the word he used, view of international economics. And it signaled to me potentially respect for Mark Carney's expertise in this area, room for some negotiation. And, I doubt we're going to get rid of absolutely everything in the way of tariffs, but there does look like there's room for progress here.
What did you make of the tone between the two men in this meeting? Carney, at the end, very notably cut off reporters. Trump looked like he was willing to answer more questions on some American issues that he was being asked about, but Carney took a rather commanding posture at the end of that. How do you evaluate how the two men dealt with each other?
Well, clearly there's a degree of respect and even deference from both leaders. Who knows what that signals in terms of the future, but for the moment, the relationship seems to be cordial. To see Donald Trump wearing that pin with both the Canadian and American flags, one I've been privileged to be in possession of because it came to me from the U.S. Embassy here. That's an unusual thing to see. That it looks like Donald Trump is emphasizing the partnership with Canada at this stage, and he's looking for a win. He's underwater in the polls in the United States. He's getting a lot of flack for the things that have happened over the last week there. He hasn't fulfilled a lot of his promises to reduce costs. Even the promises that peace would reign if he became president certainly has gone by the wayside, given what's happening between Iran and Israel now. So he's looking for something where he can actually deliver on a promise, be a little bit less offside with leaders elsewhere in the world and claim a win.
What do you think Mark Carney needs to do to claim a win at the G7 summit? What does it look like for him to walk away from this and be able to say, hey, that was a success?
I'm not sure it's going to be something that we see Tuesday, Wednesday. This is what was accomplished. I think this has laid the foundation, both in terms of tone and in terms of sort of some of the perspectives that are brought to the table. When you look at all of those leaders that have been brought together, some who aren't members of the G7, but who signal a willingness amongst a number of international partners to work together, both economically and in some cases militarily, that is an alliance or a group that Donald Trump may well recognize the advantage of being part of. And so I think for Mark Carney, the win is going to be that this lays a strong foundation that doesn't just depend on Donald Trump and whether or not he happens to be in the mood to say nice things about Canada one day or the other, but there's actually an incentive for him and for other countries to work together to try to deal with some of the challenges we face internationally.
That's political analyst Lori Williams from Mount Royal University. Lori, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Matt.